Government's stance on Kashmir is absolutely clear. It was our jugular vein. It is our jugular vein. We will not forget it. And we will not leave our Kashmiri brethren in their heroic struggle.
You heard Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir. He was speaking just days before terrorists gunned down 26 innocent lives in the Kashmir Valley. They were killed because they were non-Muslims or because they dared to challenge them. That address is being widely seen as a dog whistle or a subtle message aimed for terrorists to carry out the Pahalgam terror attack. Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Let's connect the dots of India's decision on Indus Waters Treaty after the Pahalgam terror attack. Within days of the heinous attack, India underlined the terrorists' cross-border links.
पूरे विश्व में अलग थलग पड़ चुका हमारा पड़ोसी देश अगर ये समझता है कि जिस तरह के कृत्य वो कर रहा है, जिस तरह की साजिश रच रहा है, उससे भारत में अस्थिरता पैदा करने में सफल हो जाएगा, तो वो ख्वाब हमेशा हमेशा के लिए छोड़ दे। वो कभी ये नहीं कर पाएगा और न कभी ये होने वाला है। मैं बहुत स्पष्ट शब्दों में कहना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी।
India imposed costs on Pakistan for supporting cross-border terrorism. This one was among the most significant.
The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism.
Pakistan's political establishment responded with its usual empty bravado, aimed at its domestic audience.
Any attempt to stop, reduce, or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan under the Indus Waters Treaty would be responded to with full force and might, and nobody should remain under any kind of false impression and confusion.
Any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan as per the Indus Water Treaty and the usurpation of the rights of lower riparian will be considered as an act of war.
और मैं सखर में इसी सिंधु दरिया के साथ खड़े होके भारत को कहना चाहूंगा कि सिंधु हमारा है और सिंधु हमारा रहेगा। या इस दरिया से हमारा पानी बहेगा या उनका खून बहेगा।
Undeterred by such empty threats, India has made its intent clear. So what is the Indus Waters Treaty that India has now put in abeyance? The origins of the treaty can be traced to the partition of India in August 1947, which marked the end of British colonial rule and the emergence of India and Pakistan as two sovereign nations. When India and Pakistan split, the new border did not just divide land and people, but also the rivers that fed Pakistan's fields. All the main tributaries of the Indus River originated in India before flowing into Pakistan. And if India controlled the flow, Pakistan's water supply could be in serious trouble. Given their shared reliance on these river systems for agriculture and irrigation, an urgent need arose to negotiate an equitable sharing of water resources. So after nearly 9 years of negotiation and with the World Bank stepping in as an arbitrator, the then Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and the then Pakistani President Ayub Khan signed the treaty in September 1960. Under the treaty, India was granted unrestricted rights over the three eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas and Satluj, while Pakistan was given exclusive control over the three western rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, which collectively comprise the lion's share of the basin's water reserves. Although the western rivers are allocated to Pakistan, India got limited rights to use their waters for non-consumptive purposes that included domestic use, irrigation and hydroelectric power generation. Under the treaty, disputes were to be resolved through a three-tiered process. First, before the Permanent Indus Commission, comprising a delegation of water experts from both countries. Then, a World Bank appointed neutral expert and eventually a forum of arbitrators. The treaty allowed India to build hydel projects on the western river systems strictly through run-of-the-river mechanisms. These were required to meet specific design and operation criteria. The treaty also allowed Pakistan to raise objections on design specifics of Indian hydel projects. This was seen in several instances. Most recently, in the 2021 case of the 1000 megawatt Pakul Dul in Kishtwar and Lower Kalnai project in Doda district, besides Durbuk Shyok and Nimu Chiling. After abrogation of Article 370, Pakistan also sought information on various projects in J&K and Ladakh, holding them up. Islamabad's objections on Kishanganga and Ratal projects took the matter to a neutral expert for dispute resolution, delaying the pace of execution by several years. Pakistan's tactics became a major sore point for India. In 2023, New Delhi issued a formal notice to Islamabad under Article 12.3 of the treaty, seeking the treaty's modification for the first time. India cited significant changes since the treaty signing, including shifts in population, evolving water requirements, the growing threat of climate-related disasters, and cross-border terrorism. So does India's stance has basis in international law? Article 62 of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, or VCLT, allows a treaty to be repudiated if there has been a fundamental change of circumstances from those existing at the time of its conclusion. Although India is not a party to the VCLT and Pakistan has signed but not ratified it, the International Court of Justice in the fisheries jurisdiction cases, United Kingdom versus Iceland and Federal Republic of Germany versus Iceland, affirmed that Article 62 codifies customary international law and is therefore binding, regardless of formal ratification. India appears to be invoking this principle as the letter by India's Water Resources Secretary to her Pakistani counterpart stated that fundamental changes in the circumstances require a reassessment of obligations under the treaty. It cited factors such as significantly altered population demographics, the need to accelerate clean energy development, and Pakistan's failure to act in good faith due to sustained cross-border terrorism emanating from there. So over 6 decades after the treaty was signed and after it survived many India-Pakistan wars, India decided that enough is enough. It started tightening the screws on Pakistan for continuing to play the dirty game of cross-border terrorism with India. So how could India's decision impact Pakistan? More than 80% of Pakistan's agriculture and around 1/3 of its hydropower generation depend on waters of the Indus Basin. Any uncertainty over water flow could severely affect Pakistan's predominantly agrarian economy. If India begins regulating the flow using its existing infrastructure, Pakistan could experience significant disruptions, particularly during the upcoming summer season when water availability is already at its lowest. If water flow drops, it could squeeze power generation, hit factory production, especially cotton and sugar industries, and drive electricity prices even higher. And that's bad news because Pakistan's power sector is already drowning in $9 trillion of circular debt. Experts say by signing the treaty, India showed extraordinary generosity as India reserved for Pakistan over 80% of the Indus Basin waters. But Pakistan weaponized the treaty. It abused its mechanisms to delay and sabotage Indian infrastructure projects. It prevented India from utilizing its legitimate share of the waters by repeatedly escalating minor engineering issues to international arbitration or adjudication. India paid a cost in this waiting game. Today, India lacks the massive storage infrastructure and extensive canal systems needed to withhold tens of billions of cubic meters of water from the western rivers. That's because the infrastructure India possesses consists largely of run-of-the-river hydropower plants as mandated by the treaty. These do not have the capacity for large-scale storage. But now, India is signaling that its endless patience should not be mistaken as weakness. The treaty model based on trust has failed. A new framework conditional on peace and conduct is needed. For now, the Government of India is working on expediting at least 5 major hydroelectric power projects in Jammu and Kashmir, most of which were stalled due to Pakistan's obstructionist tactics under the treaty. Together, these 5 projects can produce 4,000 megawatt power in power-starved J&K. India is also looking at other hydel projects to ensure full exploitation of its share of waters under the treaty. But what is also needed is large-scale investment and fast-tracking of water storage projects in J&K. Water transfers to redirect surplus water to the Indian states of Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan may also be considered. Put together, these efforts can strengthen India's water resilience in the face of changing climatic conditions and rainfall patterns, and also ensure India's strategic leverage over western river water systems. India's restraint has been historic. Now history demands resolve and deterrent action. Remember the violent confrontation in the South China Sea last year? The Chinese Coast Guard rammed and boarded Filipino Navy boats. Chinese personnel attacked Filipino sailors with bladed weapons and even tried to puncture an inflatable boat. These visuals are a stark reminder of China's aggression in the region. But the Philippines is not backing down. To defend its coastline, Manila is strengthening its military, including with help from India. The country is set to receive its second batch of Brahmos supersonic cruise missiles as part of a $375 million deal signed in 2022. The first delivery arrived in April 2024. The Brahmos is among the world's most advanced cruise missiles. It was developed by India and Russia and is known for its speed, accuracy and power. It travels at supersonic speed of over 3,400 kilometers per hour. That's more than 3 times the speed of sound. At that velocity, it's extremely hard to intercept. The missile has a range of 290 kilometers, allowing the Philippines to strike far-off threats. What also makes Brahmos dangerous to enemies is its low-altitude flight path. It flies just above the sea, making it harder to detect and shoot down. This is especially useful against ships. With tensions rising around Scarborough Shoal and Second Thomas Shoal, this kind of weapon strengthens the Philippines' ability to defend its exclusive economic zone. Another key feature is its multi-platform capability. Brahmos can be launched from land, sea, air, and even submarines. And here's something called the fire and forget principle. Once the missile is launched, it guides itself to the target. The launch crew can move away quickly without needing to keep directing it. That's a huge advantage in fast-moving combat situations. Given that the Philippines is made up of more than 7,000 islands, mobility is essential. Brahmos launchers are vehicle-mounted, making them easier to move and harder to find. Manila has also built a Brahmos missile base in Zambales, facing the Scarborough Shoal. This adds another layer of strategic deterrence. Along with the weapons, training and support are part of the package. The Philippine Navy has trained 21 operators to handle the system. Other countries like Vietnam, Indonesia and Malaysia are also showing interest in Brahmos, signaling a larger regional shift. Now see this. In January, Chinese Navy and Coast Guard ships harassed 2 Philippine boats. The boats were carrying scientists near Thitu Island conducting a marine survey. In February, a Chinese Navy helicopter flew just 3 meters away from a Philippine aircraft carrying journalists near Scarborough Shoal. Scarborough Shoal is a chain of rocks and reefs about 240 kilometers west of Luzon. Though it is well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, China seized it in 2012. In December, a Chinese Coast Guard ship fired water cannons at a Philippine government vessel in the same area. The boat belonged to the Bureau of Fisheries and was on routine patrol.
Hence, the Philippines is well within its rights to conduct routine maritime activities in the area, including maritime patrols and humanitarian activities that support economic activities of Filipino fisherfolks. The aggressive posture of the Chinese vessels highlights a continuing pattern of aggression, coercion, and intimidation within Philippine waters.
In January, Filipino officials arrested Chinese spies accused of surveilling Navy supply routes in the Spratly Islands. Then in April, the Philippine military confirmed that fishermen found 5 underwater drones. At least one of them was transmitting data to China. China claims the Philippines is illegally intruding into its territory. But under international law, especially the 2016 United Nations Tribunal ruling, these claims are invalid. China uses a vague 9-dash line to assert ownership over almost the entire South China Sea, overlapping the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Taiwan, and the Philippines. The tribunal said China's claim has no legal basis. But Beijing has ignored this and continued militarizing artificial islands. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, China has reclaimed over 3,200 acres of land in the Spratlys. It has built runways, radar systems, missile silos, and more. So why does the South China Sea matter? Because over $3.4 trillion in global trade passes through it each year. The waters also have rich fishing grounds and are believed to contain 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Control of the sea means control over resources, energy routes, and strategic dominance. China wants to keep foreign militaries, especially the United States, out of the region. But Washington has reaffirmed its defense treaty with the Philippines. In February, the US approved the sale of F-16 fighter jets to Manila, a signal of deeper military cooperation. With tensions rising in the South China Sea, the Philippines is preparing for any challenge. And the Brahmos missile is a big part of that plan. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.